Mr. Arthur Abbott.
Today, I want to talk about my favorite holiday movie, The Holiday. I watched this movie in theaters when it first came out, and I am not embarrassed to admit that when that older man Arthur went into the awards show and he looked around and saw everyone clapping for him, I cried. Not just a single tear down my cheek, I boohoo sobbed. Tears of joy. It was so beautiful. The entire movie's themes and lessons are beautiful. Of course, some of it is still unrealistic, but it's a movie, right? Let's get into it. This movie starts with two women living two very different lives. One is Cameron Diaz and one is Kate Winslet. Cameron Diaz is some high powered, fast talking business lady, very business, business, business. And she's with a very hot man. I keep forgetting the name of that actor and keep forgetting to look him up, but he was looking very good during this hour. Unfortunately, he cheats on her in the movie and she throws him out and decides that she needs to be away from LA for a while. Over in England, Kate Winslet is also a business lady, but like a regular business lady. So, you know how Cameron Diaz was business, business, business? She's like business. She has a guy who she really likes, but he sort of kept her on the hook and really breadcrumbed her, giving her just enough to stay interested in him without ever fully and publicly committing to her. Well, the final straw is that he announces his engagement at a work party. She's shocked and devastated, so she decides she needs to just get away. They each book a homestay where they switch places, and essentially, Cameron Diaz is going to go live in England, and Kate Winslet is going to go live in LA. And I think it's supposed to be something like 2 or 3 weeks. Cameron Diaz arrives in England and meets Jude Law, who plays Kate Winslet's brother. While Kate Winslet goes to LA and has a very meet cute with Jack Black, who I think is the friend of Cameron Diaz's ex who cheated on her. Anyways, they start as just friends. Arthur, the older man I referenced at the beginning of this video, lives alone and he's had trouble cleaning up his house. So Kate Winslet and Jack Black go in to help. While they're cleaning up, they take a closer look at things and they realize, oh my gosh, he was a huge producer and a writer in the 30s and 40s, which a lot of people consider to be the golden age of cinema. And he is like, nah, whatever, throw it away. None of this matters. I'm alone. Then they find this invitation for him, and he's like, ugh, I always get these types of invitations. But they convince him to just go, you know? So Kate Winslet and Jack Black go with him to the awards ceremony. Oh my gosh, I don't want to cry. But when they open the door, they realize it's basically a lifetime achievement award from the Writers Guild. And we see all these people standing and clapping for him. And the look in his eyes, oh, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. The look in his eyes tells us he has never felt that type of recognition. There were tears rolling, 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 rolling down my cheeks because what a beautiful moment. You know, it was a beautiful example of someone who is older in our society, a senior, really being appreciated and having people say, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for laying the foundation. Thank you for all of your contributions. We are not just going to throw you out because you cannot be as useful to us as you once were. We value you. And this comes up all the time in our society, right? We see how many people treat older people. We see how many people view seniors. And oh my goodness, if that person was any type of activist, my goodness, you will legit hear people say, okay, yes, you did that work for 40 years. And yeah, I know you're 80, but what have you done lately? What have you done since you turned 75? So for me, this movie could have ended right here. You know, that was the peak for me. But we also have some other cool stories and themes in the movies. Let's talk about how Kate Winslet got her groove back, English style. I had a huge crush on Jack Black in this movie. And sometimes when I look at him, I still have a little crush. Also, to this day, I think that this is the first and only lead romantic role that Jack Black has played, meaning it's not a problematic, terrible movie like Shallow Hal, and he's not playing the sidekick like in High Fidelity. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. I am so curious as to the route his career could still take, right? If he decides to try another romantic comedy. I thought he was great in this. And I thought that he and Kate Winslet had such a cute, beautiful chemistry.
Roodle-dee-doo, scroodle-dee-doo, roodle-dee-doo, sassy.
And their storyline felt a little bit more realistic to me. Two people who are older and having a hard time letting go of relationships with people who aren't over the top awful, but are disrespecting them and repeatedly breadcrumbing them. And it's these two people realizing that they have to break that pattern and let those people go if they truly want to find love. And I have never started as friends with anyone I dated because I don't understand the concept of two single people being attracted to each other but not dating. So please tell me in the comments, have you ever started as strictly platonic friends with someone who was single when you were single and later started dating? If so, why didn't you date immediately? I mean, I understand the concept of someone thinking their friend is cute, but not like cute, cute. And so, yeah, you're fine being friends with them. But I don't understand the concept of being like, oh my goodness, this person is gorgeous. And just saying, okay, we'll be just friends. Anyways, for Cameron Diaz, her journey was less relatable, but still a worthy story to tell. My take is that she, at the beginning of the movie, wanted to live this really shallow life. She just wanted the home, hot boyfriend, lots of money, but didn't want to go deeper. And her boyfriend cheating on her is the final lesson she needs to help her understand that there's nothing wrong with wanting a big home, lots of money, and a hot boyfriend. But if she also wants to have real and healthy love, she will need to be less superficial and take her guard down. The reason this isn't all that relatable is that, oh my goodness, this was peak Jude Law, peak charm, peak hotness. And her big struggle was whether to let a very hot man with a gorgeous accent and a gorgeous head of hair who is kind, patient, and empathetic take her out on a real date. Like, girl, come on. I mean, maybe this is, we're in a different time now where I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are single men who are like this, but right now it seems like all the men who exist like this are taken. Let me stop talking about my personal life. Anyway, their one hiccup is that she starts to think he's seeing someone else, but learns he actually has two children and for some reason didn't just tell her. I will say this was a not a huge point deduction, but one weakness in the movie, He could have just said, I don't want you to meet my children until this is serious or something like that. But it's really strange that he was on the verge of professing his love to her while keeping his kids a secret for reasons. And then, against what he'd initially said about not wanting his children to meet her until he knows what they are, they start hanging out with his children. Anyways, there's this really interesting moment where Cameron Diaz is in the taxi heading to the airport to head back home. She starts crying. And this is significant because throughout the movie, she starts to realize that she's so disconnected from herself that she can't even cry when she's sad. And for her, crying at the thought of not seeing him is a sign that she should hold on to him. So she runs back to the cottage where Jude Law was crying too, and they kiss and decide that they'll stick around an extra week until New Year's so they have more time to plan out how they can stay together. In another point for Jack Black playing a near perfect love interest, when Kate Winslet tells him that she has to go back to London in a few days, Jack Black tells her,
If I come over there, will you go out with me on New Year's Eve?
ah, yes, I will. Swoon! And then the movie ends with all four of them together in Kate Winslet's cottage, ringing in the new year. I just think this is such a beautiful movie about second chances, letting go of things that are holding you back and taking a risk to give yourself that second chance. And this movie is so inspiring to people who are not in the place they want to be with their love life and maybe even a little bit with their career, but they take a chance and say they're going to bet on themselves and hope that changing one thing will create a ripple effect and change other things. And we put so much pressure on ourselves to change everything overnight. But I love this movie's message that you can start slow and see how it goes. This movie doesn't end with an engagement. This movie doesn't cut to, 5 years in the future and show marriage. It ends on each couple deciding that they want to see where things go and they might have just found their person, but let's see. I love that. How often do we get an ending like that that is both realistic but extremely hopeful? I just love the message that you can take your time in making changes, and that decision just might bring even more love and joy into your life. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Roodle-dee-doo, 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 sassy.